Solutions Initiative became officially formalized in 2019, though we did have some durable solutions related interventions that were taking place prior to this. The Somali region actually has seen durable solutions related interventions since 2014, but in 2019, this really became formalized when the DSI was introduced, linking to many of the efforts that were taking place at the federal level as well. The Durable Solutions Initiative focuses on 5 different levels of intervention to support solutions related interventions and operations as well. The Durable Solutions Interventions looks at policy, legislative, institutional, planning, and operational levels to ensure that durable solutions in mainstream and is a multi-level initiative as well. At the policy level, we are really looking at how we are further developing policies and strategies that can support solutions for IDPs. At the legislative level, we're really looking at localizing the Kampala Convention, and these are efforts that are currently ongoing as well and have been engaging the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission as well as UNHCR and IOM in these conversations. We have also been looking at the development of protection and related interventions to ensure the centrality of protection at the legislative level. From an institutional perspective, we are really looking at supporting the government in terms of capacity building to coordinate durable solutions related interventions. We have durable solutions working groups across the board, and you guys will be seeing that quite shortly. We do recognize that the government is the duty bearer of solutions, so we do look at a whole of government approach where we are engaging with the federal, regional, zonal, and Warada and Kabila level government as well. We are also looking at planning, which really relates to spatial planning to ensure that in the instance that we do have return, relocation, and local integration, proper planning is in place and solutions is mainstream enablement development plans that may be outlined. Now we are really enhancing our focus on operationalizing durable solution, really taking to fruition many of the commitments that have been made in the past by government and partners on the ground to really help facilitate voluntary return, relocations, and local integrations of IDPs looking to voluntarily address their protracted displacement status. Next slide. All right, so key achievements of the Durable Solutions Initiative thus far has been seen across the 5 different levels. As mentioned, the Durable Solutions Initiative was launched in 2019. And we also recognize that there is the Federal Durable Solutions Working Group as well. Shortly, I will go into how the exact architecture looks, but we did have a position paper on durable solution and how exactly COVID-19 would be impacting solutions related interventions. We also looked at the endorsement of the 2020 to 2020 where durable solutions elements were mainstream and key indicators were outlined as well. At the legislative level, as you all know, there was the ratification of the African Union Convention for Protection and Assistance of Internally Displaced Persons in Africa, also known as the Kampala Convention, which we have been looking to localize, and with Ethiopia being a signage as well to the convention as of February 2020. At the institutional level, we have established an IDP advisory group at the national level, as well as a steering committee. We also have the establishment of the Federal Durable Solutions Working Group, which is chaired by NDRMC, as well as the RC's office and IOM as co-chairs. We have the Regional Durable Solutions Working Groups that are currently established in Afar, Amhara, Gambela, Oromia. The Oromia Working Group is divided according to the Oromia level zones, and we also have the setup of the Durable Solutions Working Group in SNMPR and Benishangul Gumuz. And as mentioned, we have the Somali Region Durable Solutions Working Group, which I will mainly be discussing today, and which has been the most productive of the working groups so far, particularly because it does predate the official establishment of the Durable Solutions Initiative. We have seen the training of officials across the regions that we are currently operating. So this has included in Afar, Gambela, Oromia, and SNMPR, as well as the Somali region. At the operational level, in the past, we have really seen the development of the menu of options for the Somali region, which really articulate and outline how exactly we would be able to achieve solutions for IDPs, particularly those in Koloji camp, which is the largest camp in Somali region. And we also have the Durable Solutions Strategy for Somali region 2017 to 2020, and now we are in the process of developing the durable solution strategy for 2022 to 2025, which I will be also discussing during today's event. At the planning level, we have seen spatial planning of Koloji Camp. This was led by UN Habitat and really informed many of the plans that have been developed for the camp thus far to support solutions. Next slide. All right, so this just summarizes a bit of what we see at the federal level. So as mentioned, we have the Federal Durable Solutions Working Group chaired by NDRMC, co-chaired by the RCO and IOM. We also have the Durable Solutions Technical Advisory Group that is chaired by IOM and co-chaired by UNHCR and REDS, also at the federal level. And then at the regional levels, we do have the Functional Durable Solutions Working Group across 8 regions and 3 zonal level working groups for Oromia as well. At the Somali region, we have a bit of a different structure, expanding on what we have developed, and which I will also go into shortly. But this is just to articulate that we do have a federal level structure where things are streamlined with the work that is being developed at the regions as well. Next slide. All right, so going into more detail on exactly what is taking place in the Somali region in terms of operationalizing durable solutions and looking at ways where we can strengthen coordination and cooperation between different actors. Recognizing that durable solutions is one that brings together humanitarian development, stabilization, and peace actors under the leadership of the government. So we definitely have multi-partner efforts on the ground, and we want to make sure that they are action-oriented. So this is what we're going to be going into discussion shortly. Next slide. In the Somali region, we are looking to roll out durable solutions operational pilots. This is in favor of the durable solutions strategy that is now under finalization. The durable solutions strategy for 2022 to 2025 builds on much of the work that has taken place thus far. So this includes the menu of options that was developed in 2020 to facilitate solutions. This also builds on the durable solutions 2017 and 2020 strategy, but also incorporates the national strategy to address displacement and for IDPs that has been developed at the federal level by NDRMC. So we are taking all these things into consideration to now really make a reality of many of the commitments that have been outlined in the past. What we have seen is a lot of policy work and a lot of great strategic development, but we have really been looking to see how exactly are we going to operationalize this on the ground? How can we bring the correct partners around the table and all stakeholders involved in ways that consider the 8 criteria of durable solutions for IDPs as well. The operations and the operational framework is built on the IASC facilitating durable solutions for IDP framework that looks at the 8 different criteria. It is also in line with displacement-related documents and national policies that do exist. All in all, looking to maintain the centrality of protection and human rights. So it is rights-based approaches that we are ensuring and holistic programming as well that is transitional. So it is going from humanitarian, transitioning towards development. Next slide. Next slide. Thank you. So as mentioned, durable solutions really is a missing middle. So it is transitional. How are we really getting from short-term interventions to progressing towards longer-term solutions in addressing the situation of protracted displacement? What we have done is we've looked to develop an operational framework that will not only inform the durable solutions work that is being done in the Somali region, but can perhaps inspire what is being done in other regions as well. What we have done so far is we facilitated a series of community consultations, basically to develop a specific tailored approach for the Somali region in terms of facilitating durable solutions. We met with key stakeholders, the communities, host community populations, IDP populations, both conflict and drought-induced high displacement affected households to really develop an approach that can work for the region. We recognize that durable solutions is often the missing middle. So we're looking at how we're going from humanitarian response, transitional and recovery related interventions, more towards development, longer term interventions as well. This will of course include in the short term life-saving responses, assistance to government and communities as well in ways that maintain humanitarian principles, solely transitioning and graduating towards more community resilience-based interventions. That is, of course, citizen participatory, and led by the government as well, in ways that is affecting the socio-economic needs of the populations that we are engaging. Then we're looking more at longer term interventions. How are all of these linked, and how can we have a cooperative mechanisms that can ensure a continuation of care to the population as well, in ways that can actually contribute to development of the region at hand. So we are really looking at not only concentrating on short-term and transitional, but really how are we focusing on sustaining these interventions so that voluntary returns, relocation, and local integration can actually lead to sustainably addressing displacement-related interventions on the ground and the status of IDPs as well. Next slide. All right, so in the development of the operational pilots that we have designed, we have been looking at the different elements of the ISC framework, but also taking into consideration the various bottlenecks and challenges on the ground. That has really led to challenges faced by the affected population, challenges that have been faced by partners, and challenges that have been made it difficult to coordinate solutions on the ground. We recognize that there may be limitations in resources. There may be issues relating to development plans and plans related to this various communities, how we are working with the various stakeholders at multiple levels, so that we are really thinking of how we can ensure that interventions are holistic and integrated and look at the various needs of IDPs. Challenges that IDPs have included housing disruption or inability to access shelter, lack of livelihoods, lack of basic services, community tensions that have prevented IDPs from being able to return, or tensions that have prevented IDPs from being able to sustainably relocate, perceived insecurities in the locations that the IDPs are looking to return to or to relocate to as well. Issues related to spatial planning that has affected the ability for households to locally integrate. And we also want to think about how we categorizing these type of interventions, how we supporting IDPs that are displaced from within versus those that have been displaced from across the regions. We're also looking at how we tailoring interventions to consider those that are already in displacement and have been in protracted displacement versus those that may be at risk of protracted displacement, such as those affected by the current drought. So we have categorized the different types of challenges that IDPs are facing, the different types of motivators that are causing IDPs to want to return, relocate, or locally integrate, and different categories of different challenges that are faced by partners and stakeholders on the ground as well, to really inform us of any institutional gaps, any shortcomings that there may be, any bottlenecks that we may have to keep in mind in developing an operational framework that would look to mitigate against these challenges that we are currently facing. Next slide. All right. So in summary, in a bit of a visual, this is the operational methodology that we have outlined for the Somali region in terms of operationalizing durable solutions. We are looking at activities both while households are in their areas of displacement, as well as once households have settled in their areas of return, relocation, or local integration. We are looking at a phased approach, a phased model to the way that we are looking to operationalize durable solutions that looks at 4 main phases that really focus on how we're going from humanitarian, transitional, and more towards longer term interventions. In the beginning, we are really looking at community-based participatory assessments and planning, where communities are engaged in informing and making decisions in terms of their displacement status, in terms of interventions that take place to support them in resolving their displacement status. And this also ensures a whole of community approach. These are area-based interventions that look to support host community households and displacement affected individuals as well. In the first phase, we are mainly looking at sensitizing populations, facilitating intention surveys in locations of displacement. So far, we are piloting in Koloji camp, where we have already facilitated intention surveys, really to inform us on the feasibility of programming. We also looked at facilitating voluntary registration, where we set up help desks within the camp so that households that had interest in departing can be sensitized and actually make an informed decision on whether or not they would like to depart their location of displacement. The first phase also includes a series of go and see visits and come and tell, as well as host community sensitization and support services. This leads to various assessments that happen at both community and household level, considering that we are delivering both targeted and community level services. These assessments take place so that we understand any risk of facilitating returns, relocation, or local integration to certain areas, any protection risks that households may be exposed to, safety and security related considerations before actually making a determination on whether or not to intervene. We also look at community-based planning, which is where communities develop community action plans based on their community communicated needs and how they feel that it can best be resolved in ways that they utilize their existing community assets and manage any resources on the ground as well. We are also looking at spatial planning, as mentioned, as part of one of the various levels of the durable solutions strategy. We are looking to ensure that any movement that takes place is considerate of any planning for that given location. Considering the various challenges that IDPs are facing and the different types of programming that we do really want to roll out, we also do look at labor market assessments, considering that livelihoods is often communicated as a need by the households. From here, we roll out multi-sectoral interventions, engaging humanitarian development, peace and stabilization actors on the ground, depending on who is actually operating in those areas. What we look to do is engage those that are already on the ground so that we can support integrated programming. How are we helping in these communities so that we can ensure that needs are actually being addressed and gaps are being handled? Multi-sectoral interventions also include both community and household level interventions as well. So this is really the rollout of the community action plans that have been developed by the community, bringing together multiple partners on the ground together with the government to really ensure that any interventions can be sustainable by making sure that activities are transitional, starting first with humanitarian and then slowly transitioning towards development. In parallel to this, we are looking at policy and institutional engagement, where we are really looking to reinstate the government capacity in mainstreaming durable solutions. This includes mainstreaming of solutions in regional development plans and policy as well, working with the government to consider certain policy that needs to be developed in terms of advocacy efforts on the ground, efforts to localize the ISC framework as well, and make sure that this is considered in any regional and local plans as well. This also comes back to ensuring that coordination is strengthened, which is what I think may be the main topic of discussion here. How are we really bringing together coordination mechanisms on the ground? How are we ensuring that there's no duplication, but instead maximizing of resources that are available? And how are we ensuring action-oriented partnerships and cooperations with different stakeholders on the ground so that we are ensuring nexus-based approaches and linkages between humanitarian and development? I believe we will be joined by OCHA shortly, but some of the work that has been done in the Somali region really is to see how we are bringing solutions together with the cluster-related approaches as well to really facilitate that transition from the onset and make sure solutions are being mainstreamed not only in development-related programming, but humanitarian as well. Next slide. All right, so this presents the activity set. As mentioned, the operations look at both what is happening pre-departure from locations as displacement, as well as once households settle in their areas of return, relocation, or local integration where possible. So at the pre-departure, really, we are looking at sensitization, as mentioned, intention surveys, voluntary registration, as well as community-based planning, go and see visits, and referrals to specialized services. In the locations of settlement, we are looking at multi-sectoral interventions that consider a graduation model, where we're going from humanitarian more towards development, and really we'll be looking at what activities are needed immediately, what activities are needed in the medium term, and what activities are more long-term needed. Next slide. All right, so the locations where we are looking to focus the pilots for now, we have grouped the locations in accordance to where we have seen relocation taking place or potential relocations that may be expected. So far, we are prioritizing locations in Favan, City, and Dolo zones because these are where we have seen the highest number of relocated households. We have a high concentration of IDPs as well. And we're also looking at how we can support zones where we have seen higher concentrations of returnees. We are looking to target both climate and conflict-induced households, as well as supporting returnees in areas where they have been met with critical conditions and vulnerable host community populations as well. Next slide. All right, so this just gives an overview of where we have seen relocation so far and how many households have relocated. Next slide. And this is where we may expect relocations to be taking place based off of where households have been registering to go to. Next slide. All right, so just summarizing a bit in terms of coordination and cooperation, what we really want to see is how we are engaging at the onset between solutions-based actors and humanitarian actors as well, coming together to ensure nexus-based approaches and linkages. What we want is that there is already communication and planning on the ground to really organize these joint integrated programming, where we are together looking at how we can support in managing of resources so that communities are resilient to shocks, particularly considering the weather variability of the Somali region as well. We are looking at how we can speak of an exit strategy from humanitarian assistance from the onset and really consider this even in regards to the current drought response plan, where we have already been discussing how can we start thinking of solutions already as an exit strategy, and how can we have more innovative techniques to help build community resilience to future shocks as well. This, of course, will include working with the government, strengthening institution and coordination mechanisms to make sure these links are taking place from early on. We want to see how we are more working together with the cluster system, how we are tying that in back to the durable solutions architecture in Somali region. And on that note, next slide. This is the overview of the durable solutions architecture for the Somali region. We have a durable solutions steering committee for the Somali region, which sits under the office of the president and is chaired by the vice president, co-chaired by DRMB, as well as IOM. Under that, we have the Regional Durable Solutions Working Group, which has been operational since 2014, chaired by DRMB and co-chaired by IOM. And we now have the Regional Technical Advisory Group, similar to the one that we have at the federal level, which is really looking at ensuring quality control of durable solutions related interventions, and is currently chaired by IOM, co-chaired by UNHCR and AUS, the local organization as well. These groups interact with the federal level working group and technical advisory group, and at the subnational level, these groups also interact in terms of coordinating with the subnational ICCG as well. This way, we are ensuring that those conversations that are meant to help push action towards linking humanitarian and development-related engagements are really sound, and those conversations are taking place. Next slide, and I believe this is the end. Okay, way forward. So some things that we have already started to outline to ensure that we are remaining cooperative and enhancing, like we said, collective efforts to facilitating solutions for IDPs. We are looking at an interagency multi-partner core facilitations team. So as we are now concentrating on operationalizing durable solutions, we are creating interagency multi-partner teams to really roll out in the locations that have been prioritized jointly. This is to, of course, cater to joint programming and operationalizing of the durable solutions strategy that is under development, and operationalizing community action plans developed by the community in ways that really do favor a graduation model that links humanitarian and development-oriented interventions. We are looking at regular coordination between the DS coordination platforms and the clusters, namely the ICCG, and we are also ensuring cluster representation in the advisory group that exists at the regional level, and also mainstreaming of DS and humanitarian planning as well. All right, so thank you all very much for that. Over back to you.